Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Kilat Shari Torah's daily review of Maimonides' 613 mitzvahs, the Sefer HaMitzvot of the Rambam, listing all of the mitzvot which we shall, please God, conclude today on Thursday, January 20th. Very appropriate as the upcoming Shabbat is Parshas Yisro, when we read in the book of Exodus about Maimad Har Sinai, the standing together of the entire Jewish people, receiving the Torah from God with a great show of natural and supernatural force. It's very appropriate that we conclude our study of this list. Of course, it's never over, right? We should go over them again and again until we understand them in ever greater depth. And also over the next couple of days, we're going to go through the appendix in this particular edition, the Sansino Commandments, the Commandments two-volume series, edited by Rabbi Dr. Charles Shavel, in which it lists the prohibitions and obligations that are pertinent to us in our days outside of Israel and when the temple at the moment is not standing in Jerusalem. Before we get to that, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the concluding mitzvah. Remember, we went through 248 positive commandments. Now, up till yesterday, we covered 364 prohibitions. Here is number 365. For the last couple of days, we've been talking about kings. The Jewish king has particular laws, obligations, restrictions that are incumbent upon him. The last of these, as mentioned as a separate and distinct mitzvah in the Minyan HaMitzvahs, in the list of the mitzvahs, is number 365. A king is prohibited from amassing great personal wealth. By this prohibition, the king is forbidden to amass great wealth for himself. Neither shall he multiply himself silver and gold. The limit prescribed is that he may not go beyond what is strictly required for the upkeep of his army and his personal attendants. He is, however, permitted to amass wealth for the needs of the Jewish people. Interesting. Our sages derived from what it says in 2 Samuel chapter 12, that Shalom HaMelech, King Solomon, had tremendous wisdom, tremendous knowledge, and nevertheless, these three mitzvahs should not have too many horses, not have an excessive number of wives, and should not multiply gold and silver to himself. Nevertheless, became challenges, shall we say, for King Solomon. Our sages derived from this that if people knew the reasons for all the mitzvahs, they would find ways to disobey them. Tells you something about human nature, If a person so wise and so intelligent as King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, wrongly supposed that his action in taking many wives would in no way lead him to sin or transgression, how much more so would the average person be led to disregard them, saying, well, he forbade this and ordered that only for this reason. It doesn't apply to me, so I can make up the rules on my own. Not so, as we see clearly evidenced. The last few words that are written here are the words of the words of Psalms. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. And Maimonides concludes his entire listing of the mitzvahs by saying, I ask for the help of God in fulfilling all that he has commanded and refraining from all that he has forbidden. Here ends what we intended to include in this work. And to bring from Guide for the Perplexed, a complimentary work of philosophy, Maimonides writes in his Mor Nevuchim, Guide for the Perplexed, Maimonides makes the point emphatically clear. There's a cause for every commandment. Every positive or negative precept serves a useful object. In some cases, the usefulness is evident, some cases not so evident. So the sages say it is not an empty thing, not a vain thing for you. Quoting from the 32nd chapter of Deuteronomy, which we read at the very end of the reading year around Simchas Torah time. It's not in vain. If it is in vain, it's only because of you. That is to say, giving of the commandments is not an empty thing and without an object, and if it appears that to you, it shows you something, a deficiency in your own comprehension. Maimonides brings to our attention. With that, we conclude our study, comprehensive study, from 1 to 613 of all the mitzvahs listed in the Torah. According to Rambam, remember, keep in mind that other scholars, other great rabbinic minds throughout the ages have come up with different listing of the mitzvot, among them Baal Halachas Gedolos, Baal Halachas Ktanos, Reb Sadia Gaon, among others, who everyone agrees that there are 613 mitzvot, and they dispute some of the particulars of which are included in the positives, the negatives, and other such like. So we're happy to take those up with anyone at any time. As promised, we will take up a little brief couple of days study, maybe just a few days, to run through briefly the list of mitzvahs that are and are not accomplishable by us at the present moment. Of course, by studying them, we have a share in their fulfillment, hopefully speedily in our days. Thanks very much for being part of this journey. So we'll a couple more days of supplementary material from the Rambam, and then we will embark on a new course of study. Have a good day. Thanks again for being here. Bye-bye.